One thing that's really cool here is the fruit. It's so good. And this was a neat little corkscrew device that lets you get at a pineapple easier. We've been starting to set up a space downstairs as another apartment area for someone who's coming to visit. And we set up all this music stuff so that we can have music jams down there. There was a lot of stuff to unpack and move around and rearrange and fix up still, but it'll be exciting when we get to have those. I like this poster of this guy. I finally got my med stuff all sorted out here, and I got access to progesterone, which was kind of gate kept from me in the States because I didn't want to fight enough with my endocrinologist. And here it's just over the counter, so that's been great. I've been trying to learn Tamil, which the vowels and the consonants are there, and those are hard enough, but then there's combinations. Like if you add the E sound to the end, it puts a little tail on the other ones. And this is one of the wilder combinations that I ran into. It's just loop, 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 loop. This is not my picture, but I was researching dangerous animals of the area, and that's the Russell's viper, but I don't think I'll see any here. Those are in rural areas. I learned how to make rice pudding or kheer, and it's supposed to have cardamom in it, and I didn't have any, so I used black tea in it, and people were skeptical, but then they tried it and they said, okay, this is actually really good. This is my passport cover with RFID blocking so people can't scan it walking by. And I got my first rupees changed over. And here I am getting ready to go out to a famous French bakery here with my friend Pradipta, who is visiting. She's a fellow trans woman and an artist and spends a bunch of her time in Berlin. And there's some good food we had. We went out shopping at the Auroville shopping areas. The Auroville's a really interesting area near Pondicherry. It's kind of a like intentional community ashram kind of a thing that was founded by someone who had these spiritual visions. And there's a giant golden dome there that I haven't gotten to visit yet, so I don't have any footage of it yet. And the area is pretty rustic, but there's a lot of kind of creative homesteader type folks living there, and a lot of really cool projects where they're growing food, and people come there from all over. And it's kind of a socialist commune where like you can't have intergenerational wealth. It all goes back to the collective if you die or leave there or whatever. And that's where in the previous video the tango was happening. And that mud that we just went by, apparently that whole area used to be just mud, and they planted all of the trees that we went by and totally transformed the landscape and beautified it. And here we are driving back from Auroville, back through the town. And you can see there's just such contrasts here. There's the places that are like mud roads and palm trees, and then you drive a few minutes and you're at like strip mall and fancy hotels, fancy restaurants right next to a building that's falling apart sometimes. And it's all of it everywhere here. You never know what's right around the next corner. There's just such variety all crammed into a space. You get these giant glass walls of building that are so fancy, and really good roads here. And then you get like the next street over, like the road might be falling apart and under construction and, you know, piles of garbage. It's, you just never know what you're going to get. And yeah, here we are attempting to celebrate Thanksgiving in India, which is not a thing here, obviously, because that's very specifically a US thing. But we decided, since two of us cared about Thanksgiving, we were going to do Thanksgiving, and we got a turkey and everything. And we all went out and had a fancy meal together and made funny faces at the camera. And the boys got the chicken drums or turkey drumsticks, and we're all excited. And we had apple pie and ice cream even, and we were visited by a tiny gecko. And afterwards, the kids needed to work off all of that sugar, so there was a little bit of ruckus. And I got to ride on an auto rickshaw for the first time. These are pretty much the most common taxi service equivalent. Some areas have Uber, but apparently Uber isn't so much a thing in Pondicherry. So there's just all those little rickshaws, and you have to negotiate the price before you step in, because they will give you grief and try to upsell and renegotiate. We went to that lovely French bakery, and we're just out exploring. And I just thought chicken lollipop was really cool, a funny name. Some of the names of foods here are hilarious. There's this boardwalk by the ocean, just pedestrian walking area that is gorgeous, so we went and checked that out. I had been eyeing the ocean from afar from the balcony the whole time I've been here, and hadn't made it over to just walk along the beach by where I'm staying. It gets dark really quickly. We had a cyclone coming in, and we were really scared, but we still dared to go out and, in this case, get some Asian food. And the restaurant had this fun, like, Asian country fusion, and then Remy stopped by with Mishmi's kids on a scooter, and he has also mastered the art of going everywhere on a scooter with kids or dogs or whatever. And we got to go out and try saffron ice cream. And then there's this place called the Promenade, which was very fancy. It was a 7-course meal that served 3 drinks during it, but almost everything was made out of pastry with foamy stuff on top. And we were a little confused by that. More pastry. Everything was pastry. The dessert also had pastry under it. The dessert was good. And the decor was very fancy, so that was fun. Here we are back at Auroville, getting to explore that a little bit more. This is the Visitors Center. And the Visitor Center has this place where you can watch a video about the history of Auroville and how it was founded. And it also has tons of gift shops with cool t-shirts and ceramics that they make here, paper that they make here. They're famous for their paper and their ceramics. They have gorgeous handmade paper things, flowers and notebooks and printed shirts and more paper. And they had a whole room full of musical instruments that they charged to get in, and I wasn't going to be there long enough to pay for that, so I was like, I'll do that another time. And here we are, still worried about the cyclone and just getting rain. And we kept being worried about it and just getting rain, and we were really lucky. Here I gave myself a haircut. I'm still working on that skill, but it turned out okay, I think. And I've been working on my story stuff and being inspired by everything I see here. This is the branching structure of the number 47, and I used it to write a Renga poem, which is too long to share in the video here, but I've been just thinking a lot about the many branching nature of life and the decisions we make and how you never know where you'll end up next. And I finally, amidst all this exploring, found time to sit down and buckle down and write a little bit more to catch up with my schoolwork. And this is the beginning of the first draft of the current version of the musical I'm writing. The red string represents time. And more about that in a future video. Ciao.